I was a young lad of 21 years old, getting my feet wet in the world of firearms. I didn't grow up with guns around, but I always appreciated the history, the industrial design, and the practicality of having a tool that could provide for and protect your life. I watched a lot of videos and did a lot of research before jumping in all the way. But right after getting a 4th gen Glock 19, cause election year, I picked up a true American classic, a Ruger 1022. It was this one right here, nothing fancy. Plastic stock and stainless barrel. I loved it. Over the next few years, I shot the crap out of it. Thousands of rounds of 22 at soda cans and paper targets, in the middle of the woods and off a bench at the range, trying to shoot little groups with pretty rudimentary open sights at 100 yards and not really knowing what I was doing. At some point, I became aware of Project Appleseed, a marksmanship program that draws from American history and teaches traditional rifle shooting, and thought it'd be right up my alley. So I made the necessary purchase and set this 22 up as a Liberty training rifle, with this great peep sight set from Tech Sights, a USGI sling, and was off to the races. Then of course I figured my girlfriend, now wife, should participate too, so I set another 1022 up very similarly, and now here we are. I've had this pair of 1022s sitting in the safe for about a decade, and have spent a lot of time with them. I'll share some thoughts. As stated, the 1022 is a classic American firearm. It has been in production continuously since 1962, and there are no signs of that changing. It's simple, it's reliable, it's affordable, and is so common that the aftermarket is honestly just overwhelming. People get crazy with their 1022 builds, and I'm here for it. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be looking at the 1022 the way I set this one up, but there is no limit to what you could build off the 1022 platform. Both of these are carbine models with 18.5-inch cold hammer forged barrels. They weigh in right around 4.5 pounds and are fed from the standard 10-round Ruger rotary magazines. You can buy mags with higher capacity, but that's a no-go in my location. I don't recommend you join me here. The 1022 is a push-button crossbolt safety and a polymer trigger housing assembly. As I mentioned, these sights are made by Tech Sights, which gives you an AR-15 type aperture setup, which as an American, I can say I really enjoy. I think in terms of iron sights, it doesn't get any better than this design, and they offer a huge improvement over the stock sight configuration. At the time, I was really trying to master the basics and didn't want to go the route of a red dot or a magnified optic, and in hindsight, I'm really glad I didn't. I learned a lot about shooting on these sights, and realistically for my location and what I typically do with the 22 rifle, they do everything I need and do it quite well, and do it without the hassle that some optics can give you. Outside of USGI web sling, the only other thing I added to these was the Volquartsen automatic bolt release, which is a $12 part that in my estimation is well worth it. The stock 1022 bolt release I found to be finicky and not intuitive in the way it works, and the Volquartsen piece enables the shooter to simply pull back the bolt to the rear and the bolt automatically releases, which eliminates the need to push up and backward on the bolt lock mechanism to release the bolt. There's not much else to discuss here in terms of the rifle itself. What you see is what you get, which on a 22 auto-loading rifle is what I want, something that goes bang and puts bullets in the vicinity of where they need to go. I'm actually pretty surprised at how reliable these have been for me. I shoot some pretty crappy ammo through them, and once I got past that new gun owner habit of cleaning them obsessively, I rarely do much maintenance at all. I try and keep the breech face and inside the receiver relatively free of carbon buildup, but I'm pretty lazy with it, and have very rarely experienced any issues. Any that I did have would just be chalked up to the poor quality of ammo I was using. They aren't precision rifles, and I have never really tested them for accuracy, but have gotten some tight groups off the bench at 50 and 100 yards. The trigger is solidly mediocre and totally usable. I rarely even think about it, which is a good thing. It probably shoots better than I can and is more than accurate enough for my purposes. On that note, what role do these 1022s play for me? For the most part, they're fun plinkers and range toys, and a training tool for me to get some reps in on iron sights in a very affordable way. The 1022 is lightweight and handy, so I will frequently grab one off the rack, load it up with some CCI ammo to take out in the woods or to walk the property with. I've also harvested a decent amount of small game with this pair. A 1022 set up this way would make a fine survival rifle in my estimation, a reliable platform with lightweight, affordable ammo, and a dead simple, effective sighting system that gives you plenty of capability. You could bug out of a crappy situation with one of these and a brick of decent ammo, and really not have to pay much of a weight penalty for doing so. Would I want to defend myself with one? Not if I had a choice, but a few 22 rounds heading in your direction would probably dissuade you from continuing whatever it was you were doing. I could also see the simplicity and ease of use of a 1022 like this making an okay defensive firearm for smaller, weaker, or recoil-sensitive folks, though a red dot would probably be a better sighting system for this type of role, as would one of the 25-round magazines. It'd certainly be better than a sharp stick. In general, I think the 1022 is awesome, and if you don't have one, I think you should change that. Rimfire guns are just fun, and also serve practical roles in the toolbox. Why not get one of the most proven and popular models in existence? When my son is old enough, I'm sure he will learn to shoot on one of these rifles. They aren't pretty, and they aren't heirloom pieces, but they're no-nonsense working firearms that will hang around the homestead for a long time to come and see a lot of use. And to me, that's what's important.